Why I reckon this is useful is I can start to look and understand some of the basic geometries of this ore body. What I see is a north-south mafic/ultra-mafic unit, and it's intersected by one of these massive regional scale east-west dikes. And so there's something about that intersection and break here that's led to the emplacement of the weird LCT pegmatites that exist there.
Isn't it easier just finding tenements and putting them into shells and promoting that?
Definitely. And all my friends tell me that. What am I doing?
This is general advice, my opinions, and for entertainment purposes only. CFDs are high risk. Past performance isn't reliable. I may be long or short CFDs and stocks mentioned. Content may contain language that offends some viewers. Righto, punters. We're going into geological world. Now, this bloke, I reckon he's done something similar to I've done. I reckon he's started a little passion project and it's got out of control, and now he's gone very deep into this geologically AI-powered machine called Canetoad. Alex Hewlett from Gorilla Gold fame, but now more so Canetoad fame. Welcome to LEVRD, mate.
Thank you, Matty. Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
Yes. So, mate, I assume I hit the nail on the head here. This Canetoad thing you've developed, we'll go into what it is in a minute, but when you were scoping it out to me a while ago, it sort of started small and then it's just a beast that got a bit out of control.
Yeah, very much exactly like you said. Passion project. Had no idea how big a task it was going to be. And thank God for ignorance, because if you what you're going to do, you might not do it.
Very much. Right, mate. So what we're going to do today, we're going to use Canetoad to check out a couple of stocks. We've got one in the goldfields and we've got one in Côte d'Ivoire, actually, and we're going to look at just from the geology lens and look what this thing can do, because I'm interested to see what it's all about. Mate, what is it? Canetoad. The only thing I don't like about it, it references a Queensland animal and I'm New South Wales. But other than that, I'm going to give you a crack.
Yeah, very good. Well, the name's a bit of fun, so hopefully you can forgive us. Canetoad is an attempt for myself and a couple of wonderful people I work with to try and create a database of useful data. And why that matters and why we tried to do this in the first place is I think lots of people have seen AI and they've said, wow, AI can do all these amazing things and it's clever and it can think. And, the holy grail for everybody in the industry is, well, help me do my job better. Help me pick, from my perspective, help me pick the best projects and identify the best projects. And from an investor's point of view, help me make an informed decision about opportunity or value that hasn't yet been realized in the market. Okay. The problem, when I started to break the problem apart, was that AI is this incredible thing that can read lots of text-heavy material and can draw lots of amazing links in text-heavy material. Okay, great. So what? Well, what we're trying to do as investors is we're trying to get facts and we're trying to get understandings in black and white about systems, about geological systems, or about financial systems, and we're trying to draw conclusions about them. And when you just use AI on company announcements, on research reports, there's a lot of information there that's not factual. It might be an opinion. It might be what directors have written about a project. And all of that sufficient information is preventing you, the user of the AI, from being able to get to the truth and being able to identify the diamond in the rough. So we said to ourselves, look, wouldn't it be amazing to build a foundation first? And the foundation is a normalized database of geological and financial information. And if they had this large database of geological financial information, maybe I could start to test theories I had. And I'll give you my little sorry to ramble here, Matty, but I'll give you my little
Your
analogy.
show today, mate.
What I reckon makes, let's say, a company director or a geologist really good at what they do is that in their mind, they've got a little Rolodex of projects. So what projects have I looked at in the past? What did I think was a good project? What did I think turned out not to be a good project? And what were the commonalities? What were the features of that deposit that made it good or bad? So me as Alex, up until this point in my career, I might have looked at 10, 20, 30 projects if I'm honest, in my career. Okay, well, that's great. And I could drill something new or be involved with an exploration company and we could start to discover something. And hopefully I look at my little Rolodex in my head and I could say, oh, look, the continuity of these drill holes that we've got so far, it's good or it's bad, or the widths are 10 meters or they're 20 meters. And so I will group that project in my head and say, oh, I think it's going to be a good one. And we as a company or me as an individual should invest, or no, I think that's not going to be any good. It doesn't look like the 10 or 20 projects in my mind. That's a limiting factor. There's hundreds, if not thousands of projects around the world. So imagine if I had knowledge on all of those projects and I could start to draw statistical analysis across all those projects, then I'd be able to have a much more informed decision about whether something is like something else. And ultimately, I think investing is people looking at something and saying, oh, what is that like, so that they can try and predict the future. So in a nutshell, Canetoad is a pipeline of normalized data, of normalized geological data, so that people can try and draw analogies and try and synthesize information to make investment. It's like a research tool.
Yeah. So the normalized data, like we're talking drill hole width and grade. Like that's normalizing a drill hole. It's either got copper and a length of it.
Yeah, correct.
And so when did the database turn into being a visual 3D project? Was that always the plan, or did that form itself?
Yeah.
Is that when your life got a lot harder?
Very much so, absolutely. So we started off building a thing called RSS feed first, and it was just sucking in data from as many sources as we can. The WA Mines Department's brilliant, provides data better than anywhere else. And then just being able to rank commodities next to each other, average widths of grade, just doing lots of basic fun statistical analysis to identify projects. And that was cool when we had a few of our different blips as we have in our commodity cycles. You go, oh, this commodity's all of a sudden run hot. Then I could instantly go, all right, who has the greatest gram meter intercepts for antimony, for cobalt, for lithium, whatever's the flavor of the month. And I could instantly go, okay, where are they spatially? And brownfields exploration, really. Where can I make the easiest investment decisions? So that's how it started out. And then the project eventually got to a point where it was sucking in so much time and effort that we went, geez, we better make something pretty for other people to use too, because we can't extract all the value out of this.
Yeah. Well, don't give away your trade secrets if you don't want to, but the step change to pulling in the live data from announcements released this morning and being able to view it straight away in 3D, that ain't as easy as it sounds.
But it sounds
was that the final step change, wasn't it?
Yeah, like live data and normalizing it, it sounds so easy. And when I say it out loud to people, I'm like, oh, fuck, people just think it's optical, OCR. We're just ripping tables and presenting tables. Oh my God, I wish it was that easy. It is so much harder because of the non-uniform way that data is presented currently. And because
you thought it was going to be that easy at the start.
Yeah. And the permutations of ways that different mining companies announce things, it just, so we had to create a pipeline. If you imagine a pipe, every time we come across a problem, we can't just manually solve the problem. We had to create a pipeline that could problem solve, rectify, and normalize a data set so that you can present the new data next to the old data, and the holes are next to each other, and the dips are in the same direction, and it's in the same part of the earth, and the assays are, yeah, it goes on and on.
Isn't it easier just finding tenements and putting them into shells and promoting that?
Definitely. And all my friends tell me that. What am I doing?
Right, mate. Let's fire it up. I want to see this thing in action. So I'll get you to share your screen. Yep. And we're going to do we've obviously picked a couple of random companies, you'd say. One is Many Peaks, MPK, over in Cote d'Ivoire. And the other is Carnavale, the Kakani project in the Goldfields. So you pick where you want to start. And we're obviously looking at the platform here. And send it, mate. This is your show.
No worries. Why don't we go to Africa first? So
why not?
I'll put in the search bar up here, Many Peaks. And what I'm presented with, I'll just zoom in a little bit to the area of interest a bit more. You're presented with a little bit of information about the company at the top, market cap, shares, a bit of a chart. And then on the left-hand side of the screen, you're presented with all of the latest announcements divided into two areas. So either announcements where we've been able to rip out geological information, or other announcements that didn't have geological information and couldn't be plotted in 3 dimensions. Do you want to have a look at the last drilling announcement that these guys have made?
Yeah, mate, we'll put you under pressure. I want the latest one to show it's up to date.
No worries. So look, you can click on the latest announcement. This isn't something from this year. This came out in November last year. So I think people are waiting to see what the next round of results will be. But what you can see is on the right-hand side, the announcement, which I can sort of look at and read and try and get context from. On the left is a 2-dimensional map. And what this shows is any data that this company has announced. And we have attempted to pull out for you some of the key findings and AI summary of what's in the announcement, and then in gram meters, some of the best hits that were identified within the announcement, and then that's been turned into tabular data underneath here in a table.
So is that those dots on the screen, mate? Are they just from that announcement, or all within the tenement?
So they're divided up between, in this particular case, the darker blue dots. So these ones here. If I click on one of them, they're holes that have been included in this announcement, and the lighter blue dots were previously announced holes.
Okay, very good, very good. That's a tick.
What I think is useful to be able to do at a glance is when some new holes come out for a given company, if I want to have a look and I want to understand, I mean, it's crucial to know, okay, you've presented me with new information. Does this information change in my head how I value this business? So what we're trying to do is give you a snapshot. It's not including everything, but give you a really quick snapshot and way of surmising what new information's been presented, identify it to separate it from the previous information, and let you draw your own conclusions as to whether it's different. So I'm just going to click a 3D box here, Maddie, and double click when I'm satisfied with the area I want to look at. And I can instantly have a look in 3 dimensions at what has been announced and via whatever commodities have been announced so far. So these guys have only talked about gold results, but if there were other commodities there, I could look at that also. So here, okay, I've got a 3D view of this box, the map in 2D, with a bunch of intercepts in it. So who cares? What does that mean to me? Well, I think as a geologist, and you know, everyone will have a different view. Why I reckon this is useful is I can start to look and understand some of the basic geometries of this ore body. What's the true width on the thing? Have they drilled it at oblique angles? Have they drilled at right angles to the ore body? Or have they drilled down the guts of the thing? When I look at it in long sections, so if I twist it and I look at holes, is the grade similar from hole to hole to hole, or is it really nuggeting? And I can click on and interrogate any of these intersections. There's a fantastic hit there, 75 meters at 6 grams. It's certainly one of the standout hits that these guys seem to have announced in that area. But when I look at it, it looks to me like, yeah, they have gone at a reasonably oblique angle through the ore body there. But then I can have a look at the holes next to it. There's 44 metres at 2 grams. There's 84 metres at 3 grams. So I can start to go, look, this seems to me like it does have continuity. Has there been an offset? Or have the holes that we've identified actually stepped out far, and are they adding any new ounces, or is it just infill drilling that's not telling me anything new? So I can go back and look at some of the best intercepts included in this announcement and highlight them. So there's one there. And I can say, okay, look, does that step out? Does that really give me new information? Not particularly. However, the only other holes in the area look like they were scissored at an opposite direction. So
I was about to say the benefit you get from the big headline hits is viewing this and knowing if it was a scissor hole coming from the other direction, like that one in the guts there. So because that can be misleading sometimes when you get this big massive new hit, but you realise it's going from the opposite direction and far from bloody true width.
Yeah. And look, another thing that's just obvious, but I might want to measure, okay, what's the obvious strike length of this system so far? How much have they identified? So I can just click a couple of points. There you go, a down dip measurement there, 520 metres. And that can start to, in my mind, allow me to form some parameters around width, strike length, and I could make assumptions about average grade.
And is this is all, you might show this on the next one, you can check. It's not just drill holes, is it? It's all the publicly available surface samples as well that you can see?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a greater richness of data, particularly in Western Australia. Here in Côte d'Ivoire, we are limited to what information's been publicly announced. As time goes by, we're trying to mine more sources of data, and we're trying to bring in the Canadian exchange, the English, the AIM markets, and hopefully over time, as we farm more and more data, we'll be able to increase that richness. But certainly Australia at the moment is somewhere that just has inherently much more publicly available data.
Well, speaking of which, mate, let's go to our home state, or my living state, Western Australia, Carnavale, which is CAV, and they've got the Kokaini project. I think I've pronounced that correctly. Sort of south of Leonora. There she is. So
yeah. Kokaini is close to my heart because when I was 13 years old, I was a geologist offsider working and living in the Kokaini pub, so I remember it well.
It's close to Cometvale too.
It is close to Cometvale, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, to take us on a journey. What do I want to look at? I want to look at their flagship project, latest announcement with all the updated drill holes to see what they're up to.
Well, look, why don't we try and understand where we are first? So, look, here's Kokaini, but, if regionally, I'll just turn off some things now so we can see it a little bit better. When this is the main Goldfields Highway going from, further south, Kalgoorlie, up to Menzies, up to Leonora. So we're in the heart there's lots of mills in this area. There's lots of infrastructure. Genesis dominate the area around Leonora. All the majors are in Coogate, Kalgoorlie down to the south. Kokaini was a really interesting historical district, lots of nuggety high-grade goldfields, but it always struggled, even though there were some amazing mines like the Cosmopolitan there, it always struggled with this nuggety type image. So really high grades, but a lack of continuity was always one of the features of the Kokaini district. Let's click on one of the latest announcements to see if we can have a look at some of the drill results. So I'll click on a report here. Another thing that's useful, I think, is being able to look at the tenements and see where a project is in relation to the tenements, who the owners are, and sometimes, what are the neighbouring companies? Is there a neurology play that could be looked at or considered? So I think these guys owned the heart of this, you can see there's sort of like a trend here, a northeast trending set of drilling, but it also does look like it's going into the border of some other ground. Kim Mining. Let's have a look at this area and see what's going on. So I'll draw a decent sized box here and see if we can have a bit of a look. And I think we're able to see a fair bit of drilling. It's all drilled in the same direction, which is nice. And we can pretty clearly see a couple of these lodes lining up here. So a really steeply dipping gold lode. There's plenty of red, so plenty of greater than 3 grams. Orange is greater than 1 gram in this particular circumstance. There's a fair bit of gold going on there. And these guys, I know they've got a modest resource, but an incredibly high grade, which they're looking to do a feasibility study or a series of studies on at the moment.
So is that, and you can see, you obviously see they've changed the plan a bit on the azimuth they were drilling for those holes.
Yeah, it looks to be the case. And it looks, when you sort of step back here as well, that there's a couple of lodes. Now, what's happened? Do these lodes offset? A couple of the last sections of this southern lode here look like they may have missed mineralisation. So they've picked something up there, 3 metres at a gram. Sort of looks like there's not much in the couple of holes beneath it. And so there's definitely a lode going on here in the central area. And I think this is where they've been talking about building a pit and trying to export it to some of their neighbours. And when I zoom in and look there at some of these grades, they're pretty spectacular. Some of them 6 metres at 66.
Jesus.
3 metres at 5. A lot of drilling here, though. 8 metres at 13. I know that they modelled an open pit that came in at I want to say like plus 20 grams. There was some really exceptional stuff.
Bloody hell. Oh, well, you can see how much money New Murchison's made out of a 4 gram pit. Can you imagine a 20 gram one?
Yeah, look, I'm addicted to some of these high grade things. I saw what happened at Penny West, which I was involved with, a company called Spectrum, and we made a discovery. It wasn't big. It was 300,000 ounces, but the grade was, close to that 20 gram mark. And what Ramilius have now made out of that, I think, is amazing.
Yeah, much different. You should have held on to it till gold was $7,000 an ounce, mate. You don't.
We all knew.
But if you knew, that's awesome, mate. The other stuff you talked about initially, the scan, like the being able to scan the databases to like across the tenements for different commodities to like find out where's the highest grade stuff around the world, where's the standouts that I'll start looking. Can you take me into that side of it, or is that on a different offering?
Absolutely. Look, a lot of the tools that we're building at the moment, so this is still very much a passion project. There's a gap between building a tool and it being useful for an individual, and then building a tool that you can share with others to consume. And bugger me, one of the hardest things to do is to make something that people can interact with, they know how to use it, and it doesn't break. So a lot of those sort of search tools, let's say we're still in development, being able to provide them to our customers. But I think just from a very basic point of view, without like doing Boolean searches or trying to download data and analyze it in particularly clever ways, I really just enjoy exploring. Like I would spend hours a week just exploring the state, looking for areas of interest, looking for geophysical anomalies, so overlaying various, all sorts of images that I think might be interesting, looking for where there's occurrences of gold deposits, and then looking for things that are similar from a two-dimensional point of view. And when you can overlay all the drilling and all the soil geochemistry in any given area, it just helps you find and look for things that sort of stand out and might be a bit different. Happy to give you a couple examples of that I reckon
go your hardest,
kind of interesting. So we'll go up to the Pilbara, and there's been a lot of pegmatite discoveries in the Pilbara, and not just the Pilbara, like over all of Western Australia. And I reckon there's a few boys who are onto some of these things, but I reckon there's a few things in some of them that stand out as being a bit interesting and a bit different that maybe not everyone's thought about. So if I look at a well-known lithium deposit, so the Tabba Tabba lithium deposit owned by Wildcat, when I'll turn on some magnetics, what I see is a north-south ultramafic or mafic/ultramafic unit, and it's intersected by one of these massive regional scale east-west dikes. And so there's something about that intersection and break here that's led to the emplacement of the weird LCT pegmatites that exist there. So that's a pattern, right? Well, what I think is interesting is if you apply that pattern and you start looking at other deposits, you can start going, oh shit, like, can I repeat that pattern and find places that deposits that haven't yet been identified? So I'm trying to navigate my way here, albeit very badly. I'm just going to try and turn on sites to, I'll turn that off for a minute, to Azure Minerals. So where are we from Karratha? I think we're south of Karratha here. We will start to see, I can put the magnetics back on now. Here we go. Here's a series of weird, so we got magnetics on. All these rocks are appearing red and mottled. So they're iron rich or magnetite rich in some regard. And when I zoom out, that's Azure's big famous discovery, Andover. When I zoom out, I see another huge regional scale northeasterly dike that was ploughing straight into the middle of this ground. And I think to myself, oh shit, that's exactly the same. That's exactly like the Tabba Tabba deposit. So is there something to this pattern? Are there other deposits that it's doing the same thing? And as you start to wind your way around the state, there's sorts of commonalities like that you can start to identify. Now that I've done that, if I zoom out and I look at some of these huge dikes, are there places where some of these dikes plough into mafic or ultramafic rocks, causing the dike to break up or allowing for emplacement of these fluids at depth? And I guess being able to use Canetoad was a quick way to be able to turn on and look at soil samples, drilling, like, is there already information there that could help me draw conclusions about this exploration technique? So that's sort of an example of how and why I wanted to use it.
What's that tenement right here? That one that with the yellow dots there. Who's got that one? The Nullagine one.
Nullagine Gold Project. Oh, it's Mark Creasy.
Oh, there you go. Who would have thought? That's his possibly his next one. His next end. Oh God, typical.
There might be no lithium there, but it's just you start to see these patterns and you start to go, oh, is there a commonality?
That's awesome, mate. Well, bloody, I really appreciate you taking the time to give me and the LEVRD punters a bit of a demo on this. So this is pretty bloody cool. So what's in the pipeline? I know you said you got a lot working on a lot. We've seen what you've got at the moment. What's the vision for this?
Look, the exciting bit for me personally next is I've got all these theories I'd love to test about what moves a market. So not only are we capturing geological information, we're capturing financial information as well. And what over different time periods, when you have an input and the input is, oh, we've drilled a hole, we've done work, we've got news, what happens when that kind of news is repeated and backed up over different time series? So if I have that database that I can trust and I know is normalized, I can then start looking for financial patterns. So that, it's an investing tool. Can I use this for me to be able to make better informed and ultimately automated investment decisions?
Very good. Very good. Right, mate. Best way to get in touch, best way to get access to Canetoad. Rip it.
Yeah, look, would love anyone to have a look. Canetoad.ai. You can sign up if you're a punter for $100 a month, or you can sign up if you're a company for $400 a month, and that'll allow 2 licenses for a company.
Bloody easy as that, mate. Easy as that. You're on YouTube now, so this thing will be flying. Buddy, what better place to come? Hewlett, thanks very much, mate. Buddy,
thank you for your time, Matty. That was awesome.
Thanks for that. And you can repay me by getting that Gorilla share price up a bit more for me if you don't mind.
Absolutely. I think the boys are busy out there, so hopefully they can do a good job.
Good on you, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matty.